Hi.
Hi, how are you, Tali? How
Hi.
are you,
You.
Ophi?
Good. How are you, Sag sister?
I am doing good. I'm so happy to talk to you guys again. I'm
I
so excited about this
know.
book. I'm glad you have your labels because obviously you're identical twins.
Right, right. As you know.
So, uh, let's get this started. First, I do want to say our so many commonalities. We both were born in Detroit.
That's right.
We both went to Michigan.
Oh,
And
wow.
yes, we're both Well, we're all three
I
Sagittarius.
love both. We count as one.
Yeah.
So.
And I interned at Elle magazine when I was in grad school. So
That is
serious.
crazy. What?
So I like to consider myself one of the triplets, but that's just
You
you
are basically
are.
an Astro triplet with that
Oh,
profile for
yeah.
sure.
So how did you guys become astrologers?
Well, it happened at our alma mater, University of Michigan. My boyfriend at the time, a Virgo with a Scorpio moon, we have a Scorpio moon, got us our chart done as a gift for our 21st birthday. And it was this shot. I didn't even know exactly what a chart was. I had to give him my time, date, and place of birth. And he produced this 30-page bound folder of information that knew way more about us than I was like, why does this thing know this much about me? So from there, we got obsessed and started writing and doing our friends' charts, and then ended up with jobs as astrologers.
So were you guys into astrology at all before? Like, did you read your horoscopes or did this just kind of
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
always read our horoscopes. I mean, we had a paper out, with a Detroit newspaper out, so we'd always flip open and read Dear Abby and our horoscopes. Funny enough, she was a twin too, so it was in the stars. And I remember a friend of ours, we asked her what sign. We were curious. We started to get curious more and more over. I mean, birthdays are a big deal for you as twins, so we were always tracking people's sun signs, but a friend of ours said, I'm a Libra with an Aries moon. And we are like, what's that? And so we were already into moon signs. And I think that's why Calvin, her ex, got us the chart because we had just started. I mean, you know how it is with astrology. Once you start to unpack it, it's like how it's just like it's
Honest.
such, yeah, you just can't stop. Yeah. Once you pop, you can't stop.
Is there a sign other than your sun sign that you guys connect to more?
For sure. I think you mean like in the chart?
In the chart or just in general that you're just
Just in
like, man,
general.
I really resonate with this sign?
Yeah,
I mean, yeah.
our
Yeah.
chart is mostly Capricorn and Scorpio, actually, even though we're Sag. We have Moon, Mercury, Mars, and Venus in Scorpio. We have Jupiter rising in North Node in Capricorn. So I definitely feel tapped into that kind of that scorpionic desire for depth and mystery. And we're both very like Capricorn, hardworking, like, keep going, keep pushing ahead. So in that way, we're more like, I don't think we've traveled enough as Sages in some ways. We've worked more like Capricorns.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So, how important is an exact birth time? Because when I talked to you guys last time, you said that the planets don't move, not all planets move that quickly. So, how
Right.
accurate does the birth time have to be?
If you want to do the houses, which is kind of like, which are the 12 pieces of your chart that show like where the action in your chart is taking place, you need your accurate birth time, or as accurate as possible, to know like which houses the planets in your chart will fall into, which will kind of indicate like, you might know you have a moon in Scorpio. That's great, you're already going to get a lot of information about that. But if you want to know, oh, it's in your seventh house, which is the relationship house, or it's in the money house or in the family house, I can give you a further cut of detail. Oh, where am I going to find that that action playing out in my life? Is it going to be in my home, in my career, with my friends, with my family? So it just gives you more and more of a kind of tuned lens on where the action in your life happens.
And for some of the planets, like the moon, and of course your rising sign, it is important to have a birth time. The moon changes signs every 2.5 days at a very specific moment. Or if you're born on the cusp, like the day that the sun changes from one sign to another, one thing you want to look at, I mean, it's a little more technical, but if you don't know your birth time and you have any planet that's either at 0 degrees or 29 degrees, it could go one way or another. You may have to be a little more intuitive. Like if your planet is at 0 degrees of a sign, it's at the very start of it. Let's say that means you're born on a cusp and you do your chart. You don't know your time, you say it says 0 degrees Libra. Well, you might be the sign before of a Virgo. So you kind of have to feel your way into it. If it's 29 degrees, that's at the very end. And then you may be the sign after, or that planet may be the sign after.
I have this very expressive face because like my exact birth time isn't known. I was born a bit unconventionally in a bathroom by accident. None of this was on purpose.
I love it. Badges can't wait to get out into the world and start living life. Yep.
Yes. So my birth certificate says 6:30, but it's really more around like 3:30 to 4. So I put my birth time as 3:45. However, I have so many that are at 0 degrees and like 28, 29.
Oh, wow.
This all could be wrong. So that's why I was just like, oh my gosh, like I take the birth chart with kind of a bit of a grain of salt because I don't have the exact time. But what I found interesting about it is that 4 of my houses are in Sagittarius. And I didn't know if it's common to have a lot of houses super heavy in a chart.
I think what you're saying is planets are in Sagittarius. And okay, well, this is a good moment to talk about the inner versus the outer planets. It's so funny because I feel like people are either like know nothing about astrology or like want to know everything about it. So I love that you know about when Tali was saying that. I was like, is this going to be over people's heads or not? Well, some it will, some it won't, but it's intriguing and it's interesting. So the closer a planet is to the sun, the more quickly it goes through the zodiac, and the more likely it is to be in a similar or like one sign away zodiac sign to the sun. So Mercury is likely to be either in the same sign or one sign away from your sun. Venus too. The moon could be. It takes 20. The moon is in each sign for 2.5 days each month. So I bet you have the sun and Mercury and Venus as 3 of those planets in Sagittarius.
Yes.
And then maybe like one of the outer planets, like I don't know, it depends when you were born. It could be Neptune or something like that. So
outer planets, by the way, are anything from Jupiter to Pluto, because Jupiter takes 1 year it stays in a sign for a whole year. Saturn 2.5 years, Neptune and Uranus 7 years, Neptune 15 years, Pluto 12 to 20 years. So if those are at 0 degrees, they're probably there. One thing you can do is a little workaround is put midnight 12 in for, and then 11:59 p.m. in, and see which ones change that day too.
Okay.
So
right, because those slower moving outer planets probably will stay. It's like they may take a month or 6 months to move through 1 degree, whereas the faster, like Mercury is like going around speedily through each degree, so it's going to go faster and more likely to be changed in your chart, if that makes sense. So
yes. So with the book, I love the book. I have like several astrology books that I just use as like reference points. Yes. I need you guys to send me a physical copy. I'm being honest.
Yeah, I just got my book, so we are going to send you one of these. This is our new book, Supercouple.
Yes.
Yeah.
What made you guys write the book? Obviously, we had cosmic love, but what made you think, okay, this needs to exist for everyone to do their own journey?
I can speak to that. Relationships are really confusing and they're at a crisis point in our culture right now. Like the more we're not in an age, we're not living in an age where people need to get married to survive anymore so much. So they become more choice based. They're, so people, and we're learning more and more about ourselves psychologically and that kind of thing in the last 20, 30, 40 years. So human beings' needs and the need that a relationship used to serve have gotten out of alignment. But yet we want companionship, we want love, we all want that, or most of us do, but we don't know what we're getting ourselves into, how to decide who's right for us, what should we even be measuring the success or potential success of a relationship by. We need a new compass. It's not like, will this person be able to provide for me and our 10 children while we run the farm, or like,
Yes.
will I be a member of society as a housewife? No.
And to add to that, so this is never in our history have we been encouraged as much to explore our individuality, to live our best lives. And astrology, doing your chart, doing my chart, is such an awesome tool for that. And maybe it's, it's like we can talk about our traumas, we can talk about our potential. Then comes the relational field that often gets abandoned in the process. We got the individual field kind of locked and loaded, but that has actually put us at a detriment when it comes to the relational field, because now we show up with our needs, with our desires, with our firmly fixed lives. And if we want to be in a relationship, we can't just be like, here I am, take me. We can, but it doesn't really, that's where things are like, well, we're just too different. We broke up. We're just friends. We're this. So what Supercouple does, Supercouple is a guide to your relational field. There's you, there's your partner or your wannabe partner. And then there's this other chart, this third chart called the composite chart, the relationship chart, the Supercouple chart, we're calling it. And that chart actually blends your chart and the other person's, all your planets. It finds the middle point. And this is like the relationship's essence, its personality. So it's kind of like a care and feeding manual. It's like, do we want, instead of fighting for what I want, what you want, you can use Supercouple, the book, to guide you through like, what does a relationship want? And then you can say, do I want to give that? Do I actually want to do that? What do I feed this relationship to bring out the best?
Yes.
And that kind of it's a different way of thinking about it. So you're not battling for domination in the relationship as individuals. It's more like, this is what we are. It's almost like having a kid, if you have a kid,
the third person.
Yeah.
What I loved about the book and I discovered is like, I am a very proud Sagittarius, but when I was looking at my sun relationship, what I would want, I'm not in a relationship, but what I would want, I was like, I'm really liking this Gemini energy, which is weird because I feel like Geminis actually get a lot of heat these days. Like everyone hates a Gemini, but
I know they do.
Not
just these days. They've been getting for years.
We can blame Kanye for like 99% of it.
Kanye is the worst. They really.
Yeah. Totally.
However, what I really liked and what I was drawn to was the whole idea of your friends, but you're also lovers. You're two individuals. I found that to be really unique about the book. And also what I found unique about Supercouple and just relationships in general, you mentioned this in the book, is that I could also use this in work relationships, friendships, family relationships to kind of really understand how I can communicate with another person or have any type of relationship. That's what I loved about it. When you guys were writing this book, obviously you've been astrologers for years, but what was something surprising that you found out when you were putting this together, or something that you're like, people need to know this?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, so much. But I think, people don't know that there's a third way, that like, you're not having this tug of war, that, and that each planet, you can work on it a planet at a time. If you're having communication issues, you can look at your Supercouple Mercury. That's the planet that governs communication. It's so amazing when you see like the difference between the two planets and the individual signs, and how the one may be very extroverted, one may be very introverted, for example, but when they come together, it's going to be either extroverted or introverted. So people are really confused, well, about, you know, almost like the way they're seen or who to be as a couple or as friends or as a unit together. Why do they have this dynamic? Why do they have this energy that only comes out when they're together? So I thought it was fascinating how accurate it ended up being as we wrote through each of the planets. It also gave us a chance to write about like how relationships have evolved into this 5D kind of world, as we call it, where it's not based on your survival needs, but on choice. And then also we mapped out what we call the 4 supercouple seasons, because there are, in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, each decade of your life, you experience different recurring planetary patterns. Transits are called. You're always going to have your Saturn return around 29 and a half and 58, no matter who you are. So that also plays in, like you're having a relationship against a backdrop of these sometimes 2-3 year transits that happen. Like people hit this midlife crisis that happens at 42 and all of a sudden want to start acting like teenagers again. You look at Adam Levine. I knew he had to be 42 when I read about him, and he was. It's like, it's just like,
Yep.
people don't know that this is coming down the pipe. So we included that in the book too. Like, here's your manual for how to be a super couple and find this middle way. But here's also what you're going to be walking into as well. It's going to happen against this backdrop. You're going to be navigating these deep psychological and spiritual transformation periods for your soul to grow. So you're really going to need this manual some of these moments to navigate.
And it was also the oh God, I just forgot what I was going to say. Never mind.
Okay.
Fun. Oh
What I thought was interesting, especially when we're talking about Saturn, I feel like it was a good case to get married in your 30s compared to your 20s, because so much is going to change.
Oh yeah.
That
you do see a lot of marriages break up at the Saturn return, or proposals go south, like engagements break off. Yeah.
It was interesting on our show Cosmic Love that you interviewed us about for Prime Video. Like a good amount of the people had not yet even started their Saturn returns. And there were just a couple who had been through theirs, and then some of them were in them. So it's a great time to do a relationship show for the people who were in theirs. All the contestants that were under 29, they just could not make a decision that stuck. One of the 4 elements, Connor, had not yet started his, and I was like, the whole time I was like, okay, I just we'll try.
I love that he's a water sign that fights fire. I feel like it's just always going to just be
he's actually an air sign that fights fire, so he should be in the fire spread.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. But when it comes to astrology and couples, for your guys' significant others, when did you guys, I'm guessing you did your chart, when did you guys kind of introduce astrology into your relationships?
I mean, everyone we've dated and been with over the years, it's like, sorry, that's just, you've got to talk about it. You've got to listen to it. You're going to hear about it. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. I mean, it's so impossible not to. I mean, I went out to dinner last night and I had to guess the restaurant owner's sign. She had surgery a week earlier and was already back at work, and she was a Scorpio, of course. She couldn't let go of the control of her restaurant, which was amazing too. So, oh yeah, I remember what I was going to say is one of the surprising things was how useful this was for actually reviewing past relationships.
Oh, yes.
Because that is like, even if you're not in a relationship, like I was looking back, I dated a lot of Libras. I've married an Aries, and then but the Libras and I became Scorpios together. And so, that was a sort of a very easy flow for me with all the Scorpio in my chart. So, sometimes it's like, why do I keep dating the same sign? You do the super couple chart and you find out that you kind of merge into places where you already have a lot of planets in your chart, and or you figure out why the hell you were together, or why, so
That's interesting I definitely was considering past relationships and even past attractions. And a lot of times it's people who are Sagittarians or very close to it. So our super couple sun sign is also Sagittarius, and it's just not working. I
Right.
cannot, it's too much. Like, because as you know, Sagittarians, we can be a bit,
We're already a lot
Right.
on our own. Yeah.
we're a lot. We like change and stuff. And having that in a partner to me is just too much. Someone needs to not be the dreamer here. And it's going to have to be
Totally.
yes.
But it could happen for you with a Scorpio or a Capricorn who on their own might not be dreamers, and then you get together and like you become a Sagittarius super couple, depending who wins the coin toss. And then it's like,
so
hey, I thought you were this successful person. Why with me are you not? So
right. And then you have like a Pisces and a Sag together, like Justin Bieber and Haley Baldwin Bieber. She's a Sag, she's a Pisces. Their super couple sun sign is Capricorn. So she's got him on lock, basically, and he's got her. I mean, whatever. They're just like, we're this, super religious couple together who are, no more drinking, no more
they became so boring, like, but those two signs on their own are like all over the map.
Wildest of them all.
Yeah. How would you suggest someone introduce astrology to their relationship, especially if someone is a bit hesitant? Usually the male, if it's a like heterosexual relationship.
It is true.
Book is the perfect way because it's less personalized. It's kind of like, oh wow, look at our relationships chart. Like I think it's like we've already heard about couple friends reading it together.
They're having a lot of fun. People who are, because it's like the whole real gift of the super couple chart, also known as a composite chart in astrology, is it takes the personal blame and shame out of it. It's like, there's nothing wrong with you, there's nothing wrong with me, we are who we are, and there's something besides this tug of war of like, we're going to do it my way, now we're going to do it my way. Like, that's, compromise only goes so far before a person feels that they're settling or sacrificing or like giving up a core value. So that's why people don't always want to open that can of worms. I think especially, yes, it's true, a lot of heterosexual men, they feel that they're going to be out of their league. You're going to start criticizing them, trying to change them, fix them. They just want to be admired for who they are. So it makes it kind of a safe, neutral space where nobody has to defend their, personalities or choices, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I think it's kind of the whole trend of love languages being talked about and people willing to take that test. I think it's
right.
a bit of an easier introduction. What I also liked about the book, and it was funny, like I was reading the book, I was writing down questions, and then the book would answer the question. So it's
really? Oh, good.
Awesome. Because I know like each sign is also related to a body part, and you guys mention that and bring that into the book as well. How should that be considered in a relationship, and even kind of more of the central part of a relationship?
Oh, for sure. Like looking at your super couple Venus sign, for example. In the front of the book, we have a guide to the 12 signs. So let's say your super couple Venus sign is in Taurus. Well, Taurus rules this whole area here, the throat, the neck, the shoulders. So maybe you want to see what happens if you give each other a shoulder rub, or you
little neck nibble. I don't know.
Or even like, we need to talk. Do you have anything you need to express? How do you like it? Super couple Mars in Sagittarius, Mars ruling kind of that lusty, erotic energy, the unga bunga side of things. Maybe you need to get out in nature, go camping, go for a long drive, get into a different scene to just mix things up. So you can totally, the body part of Sagittarius, though, is like the hips of going dancing together too, or doing hip circles on your own to, sort of loosen up that area. it's you can work with that on your own as well
Mhm.
to bring it into the relationship.
Yes, 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 yes. And what I also love about astrology, and I feel like as I've gotten older, I've connected to Sagittarian a bit more. I remember, and it also might have just been how it was presented in teen magazines that, oh, you're a Sagittarian, you're sporty. It's like I do not like
No,
any
no.
sport. But I
No.
feel like astrology can be really empowering, especially if you're feeling lost, of seeing just kind of the potential that can exist within you. I think it can be a really positive thing. But what do you think about people who kind of blame bad behavior on their astrology sign? Like they'll just be reckless and it's just like, well, I'm an Aries. It is what it is. How do
Right,
you feel
right.
about
That is a gross misuse of astrology in our book. Like it's not supposed to it's like if you're being a jerk and you're not aware of it, like shame on whatever. But like if you know that you have this trait and you're willingly doing it anyway, like you've been empowered with the knowledge of your tendencies from your zodiac sign, not a get out of jail free pass to, do that even more and inflict harm. The whole do no harm saying is kind of what we follow. So we know as Sages, we don't always finish the million things we start. I would read that, I'd be like, oh God, but that is true. So now I have to consciously put things in to make sure that I do finish that. I know that I have that tendency so I can catch myself. So stop using your zodiac sign as an excuse.
It's a map for evolution more than anything, so not an excuse for sure. So yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious because I believe both of you have kids, or
Nope, just me, Ophi. I have a Leo stepdaughter who's 23 and a Libra daughter. So
did you do your a birth chart, well, a composite chart with your children?
Yeah, oh, definitely. Absolutely. So with my stepdaughter, we're a Libra together, and we always had this very easy, like, let's go out and go shopping and doing all these Libra-y fun things. With my daughter, in fact, I feel like my stepdaughter and I are more alike than my daughter and I. My daughter and I are a Scorpio, so she never wants to leave. She just wants to stay in and just kind of be near me and be in my energetic field. So and she was so attached to me, like I had to hold her all the time when she was a baby. It was like I couldn't even, I have to unbuckle her and hold her so we could drive anywhere. Sometimes I'm confessing that now that she's 12, because we couldn't leave. So
Oh my God.
So
Yeah.
it's twins. Do you guys have the same chart?
pretty much we do. My rising sign is 1 degree behind Tali's. So, but for the most part, that did impact us when Pluto, the slowest moving planet, went over our rising sign. It went over it a year before it went for Tali than it did for me.
Yep.
So
I'm
we had a
9
very different-
Capricorn, she's 10. Yep.
yeah, so we had a very different experience that year, but for the most part, our charts are pretty much the same. So
Yes. I have a question about you being twins. I have a very strong fascination with twins. I am not a twin. I'm obsessed with twins. I just think
look at
it's
that.
just like the most bizarre thing, especially identical twins, because it's a misconception that that is like a biological thing that can be passed on. That's only fraternal, not identical. Does
Right.
yeah, you're just anomaly. Do you think being twins and astrologers together it creates an even stronger connection and understanding?
I think it came out of us being twins. Like you're communicating in the womb, so you're always tuning into another person's energy. And I think that's what sort of made us we didn't mean to be astrologers. We went to art school at University of Michigan and we're definitely not headed in that direction or ever would have thought, but it was a very natural ability because it's like, oh, reading another person. We've done that our whole lives without even realizing it,
Yeah, we just had someone to, like, as I got fascinated, she got fascinated, and we shared books, and she got fascinated in this part of it, and then I did, so it's just like It also helps with all the writing that we do to have a twin, because I don't know if there's no way we could crank out that much content on our own, but somehow, somehow we're really good at naturally just sharing tasks. Like, you do this, I'll do this. Okay, go. Great. Boom. So we don't know any other way.
Yeah, and because do you guys each think you have your own strength when it comes to astrology? That maybe Ophi is better at relationship composites, Tali's better at work.
I think we have
Dynamic.
different strengths, but we have different interests, like maybe more. I don't know, it depends who we're talking to. Weirdly, I think we're fairly interchangeable in a reading.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll have someone that I'll do a reading for, like, just casually months later, and be like, oh my God, your sister told me the exact same thing. So more than anything, we tend to see similar things in people's charts.
Maybe we just say things a little differently. Ophi's an Enneagram 7 and I'm an Enneagram 2. So she might be a little more like, boom, direct, and oh, try this. And she's a little more interested in like neuroscience and business reading, whereas I'm more a little bit about like, oh, and then you could do this relational thing together. So well, we can go back and forth. Yeah.
Very twin-like of you. Well,
Very.
thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me. I love this. You guys are idols to me in a way. I love your career. You guys are the best. And I hope we can do this again soon. There's nothing but events coming up. You always have a place on Fresh Pair of Eyes. And there is an equinox coming up. So I'm open to that.
And there's 2023 coming up. So we should be coming for the coming year.
Yes, let's get that in the books. Honestly, no smoke over here, even though I'm a fire sign.
Where smoke, there's fire sign.
Yes, for sure. And I'm looking forward to getting a copy of a book and having that as a reference point. But yes, let's talk soon. And
thanks for having us on. It was so great to see you again.
So great to see you guys again too. And you guys have a big birthday coming up, the big 2-5. So
exactly.
I know, I can't believe it.
Yeah, I can't believe it either. So yes, I will talk to you soon and email you guys as well. You guys have a good one, and thank you so much again.
Bye.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. Bye.